आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the nation's sharpest opinion, and global concern is there tonight about what is going to happen next between Israel and Iran, and justifiably so. In today's world where things are interconnected, where issues are multilateral, my problem is with the unilateralism of Donald Trump. Yes, there must be peace between Israel and Iran. Yes, bloodshed must stop. Yes, both sides have to broker some peace. Yes, Iran has a right to feel aggrieved, but Israel has a bigger reason to feel like it's been a victim for far too long of the Hamas, of the Hezbollah, of the Houthi, and proxy terrorism. But my point is, can we trust Donald Trump to fix a deal? My problem is not with Iran or certainly not with Israel, but can you trust a man called Donald Trump? Is he predictable? Ladies and gentlemen, he says we're looking at better than a ceasefire. At a time when the ceasefire is the world's demand, Donald Trump steps away and he says, I'm not looking for a ceasefire. We're looking at better as a ceasefire. But in a war zone, we all know that anything that is not a ceasefire is continued bloodshed. Donald Trump seems to believe that more bloodshed is the road to peace. More killings, more bombings, more bloodshed, more troops, more violence, more rivers of blood. What does he mean by better than a ceasefire? The world's biggest ongoing conflict, which is nuclear rimmed, and Donald Trump allocates upon himself the right to determine which direction the peace is to be found in. My question tonight exactly is, can peace be redefined on Trump's terms alone? I don't think so. If it is not a ceasefire, then what is the next step? Regime change? Occupation? And to that question I would like to ask, that while I'm on Israel's side, and absolutely and completely because Israel is a victim of terrorism, I have severe problems with American versions of regime change. I am consistent on this. What America tried to do in Bangladesh and did was regime change. We questioned that then. If the end goal of the Americans is to take an out-of-work ex-royal sitting in America, an American stooge, and pick him up and bring him and make him the proxy king of Iran, then are we going to support that kind of regime change? America wants to do regime change whenever the democracies or the countries or the rulers don't follow their line. America did regime change in the Soviet Union and broke it up. America did regime change in Bangladesh. America has done regime change all across North Africa. America, if it could, would even try to do regime change in India, only we are too big, too powerful, too obstinate and too proud and too strong for America to even try. But we know that America as a country uses everything to try and do regime change. Hence, I do not trust America's intention. You see, the other reason I can't trust Trump is because his campaign rhetoric was, let's go back to peace. He portrayed himself, he projected himself as an antidote to endless war, and today Trump has become an ambassador of endless war. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, let's stop killing people, let's go back to peace. That was his presidential campaign in November. Yet weeks into his return to power, the whole Middle East region is aflame. And he's pouring gasoline. This man is dangerous. He's pouring gasoline, not water. He promised peace. He delivers provocation. Was peace just a talking point for Donald Trump? Overall, ladies and gentlemen, Trump only wants a Nobel Peace Prize. But alas, there are many more wars in the world since he took office. He keeps saying, I should be given more credit. He tried to take false credit for India agreeing to a ceasefire, if you can call it that, with Pakistan during Operation Sindoor. He wants to be seen to be a peacemaker, a unifier. His record is exactly the opposite. The Israel-Gaza conflict has only widened. He said, I'm going to solve Israel-Gaza conflict, Russia-Ukraine. He said, I'll solve Russia-Ukraine in 12 hours. That's fact is, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump, it's been 1,209 days since the conflict started. You promised the solution in 12 hours, you're nowhere. You said, Donald Trump, that I can stop nuclear enrichment by Iran. The fact of the matter is, the Iranian foreign ministry has said no to you. And now you're angry, and hence you're promising more bloodshed. Yes, strategic lines must be drawn. Nations must speak on the basis of what they believe is in their national interest. But we must not agree to a Trumpian precedent that is being set here, that wherever Trump's interests are questioned, he will go out of his way to kill more people, do whatever the hell he wants to achieve his personal objective. Trump's objective is not the world's objective. Be warned, ladies and gentlemen, we don't draw the red line here, then it's going to come back to bite us. Let's debate.
Day 5 of the escalating conflict between Iran and Israel saw tensions rising as both nations exchanged attacks in a tit-for-tat strike. This has resulted in a significant loss of life and widespread destruction. Israel has reported the killing of Iran's new wartime chief of staff, Ali Shadmani, in a targeted strike. This comes after the death of his predecessor in Israel's initial attack on Friday.
Here behind me you can see the residential area in the center of Israel, and one of the ballistic missiles of Iran targeted this area where there is a schools, kindergartens, many residential buildings, and see what a huge hole just one rocket did. You can see the impact just of one rocket. See how big is that? And there are 10 buses here which were completely destroyed by this rocket, and in those buses each morning children are taken to the school, and if the children was here now, they probably all would be dead.
According to Iranian state media, at least 224 people have been killed in the country since the conflict began. In Israel, Iranian retaliatory strikes have claimed 24 lives. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has announced that today the IDF will strike very significant targets in Tehran.
היום אנחנו עומדים לתקוף מטרות מאוד משמעותיות בתוך טהרן, וגם כן דובר צה"ל יפנה לתושבים להתפנות. אנחנו רואים את הטורים שיוצאים החוצה, את טורי הרכבים.
The G7 leaders did not mince their words. Iran was blamed, Israel was backed, and nuclear red lines were drawn. Back in Alberta, another diplomatic crack opened wide. French President Emmanuel Macron claimed that Iran was ready for a ceasefire, even nuclear negotiations.
Et ensuite, dès que le cessez-le-feu sera obtenu, et je pense que les annonces qui ont été faites par le président Trump sont tout à fait positives et le rôle que les États-Unis d'Amérique auront à jouer est clé, les Français, à leur côté, les Britanniques et les Allemands sont disponibles pour reprendre des discussions sérieuses. Discussions que nous n'avons jamais cessées.
But Trump wasn't buying it. Within hours, he publicly humiliated Macron, saying he had no idea what the French leader was talking about, hinting that his G7 exit was more than just diplomacy.
We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy, but he doesn't get it right too often. But we're not looking. We're looking for better than a ceasefire. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon. We want people to be safe, and that's always possible. A thing like that could happen. I just want people to be safe.
The humanitarian impact is severe, with many civilians caught in the crossfire. Some Indian students in Iran were being relocated to safer places within the country. The government stressed that other feasible options were also being examined. The conflict's trajectory remains uncertain, with both sides showing no signs of backing down. The Iran-Israel conflict enters its fifth day with the world watching anxiously. Tonight, the G7 regroups under global tension. Ceasefire chaos, nuclear threats, war rhetoric, all on the table.
It's a very important debate tonight, and from Israel we have three very vocal pro-Israel voices. Dan Pfefferman, he's been a major in the Israel Defense Forces or IDF. Another former soldier of the IDF and defense expert, Benny Benjamin, is with us this evening from Ramla. Adam Belos, a very well-spoken CEO of the Israel Innovation Front, is live from Tel Aviv. And we have pro-Iran voices, professor at the Ankara Yildirim Beyazit University, Dr. Omer Anas. He joins us on a second successive night. Waris Pathan from India is the national spokesperson for the political party, the All India Majlis-e-Ittihadul Muslimin, a Muslim-focused party which is operating out of India, and he is pro-Iran. And Peter Kuznick is anti-Israel because he says he's anti-war. He's director of nuclear studies at American University. Now, Peter, let me start with you now. There is a straight threat, very clear. It seems that Trump wants to increase the level of attack on Iran. There have been reports of American planes flown in through Europe, right, coming in to be part of this. Is Trump leading an American effort out here? Is America going to get directly involved? What does he mean by saying, in your view, that clear Tehran, move out of Tehran? What is the message he's sending? Is it only psychological warfare or is it more?
It looks to be that Trump is planning to join Israel in the war against Iran. Trump, in his negotiations with Iran, knew, as everybody else did, that Iran would not give up its right to enrich uranium. As a signatory to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, Iran had that right and was willing to give up its nuclear program, said that repeatedly, but would not give up its right to enrich. But that was Trump's demand. So he knew that those negotiations were going to fail. He says that he effectively greenlit the Israeli attack. Netanyahu claimed that this was an existential threat to Israel. There is no evidence that we've seen to support that. Iran has said over and over again they're going to give it up, as they had in 2015 in the JCPOA, which Netanyahu tried to blow up then. Netanyahu has been making claims about Iran being a year or months or days away from a bomb since 1992. He lies repeatedly about this. U.S. intelligence made that clear. But the fact that Tulsi Gabbard reported that they did not have a nuclear weapons program and they were not close to a bomb, Trump has now criticized Tulsi and broken with her. We have Tucker Carlson warning about this, and Trump has also come out against Tucker Carlson. So I think that it's very, very worrisome, but it looks like the United States is going to come in. And without the United States, there seems to be no Israeli option to take out Fordo. And that's the most important Iranian nuclear facility. They need the U.S. B-52s and B-2s and its massive 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb in order to take out Fordo. Israel has ways to take out Natanz and other facilities to kill the leaders. What I'm concerned about are two things. One is Trump says that if U.S. facilities in the region get attacked, then the U.S. will come in. I'm worried about a Mossad false flag operation attacking a U.S. facility, number one. Number two, I'm worried about the Israelis assassinating Foreign Minister Arakchi, because he's the one who's going to conduct the Iranian negotiations, just like Israel took out Shamkhani, the previous Iranian negotiator. And I'm worried about that that Iran will do something like close the Strait of Hormuz, which would give Israel and which would give the U.S. the excuse that it's looking for. So I think that the U.S. is planning to come in, and that will be very, very dangerous. The other possibility, if the U.S. doesn't come in, since Israel is saying this is an existential threat and that doesn't have the ability to take out Fordo with conventional weapons, I'm also worried that Israel will resort to a nuclear attack on the Fordo facility, since they're saying this is such an existential threat.
This is going to, let me get the response from the Israeli side now. Israel also warned that Ayatollah Khomeini could meet the same fate as Saddam Hussein. Things are getting serious. Is Israel serious about trying to eliminate Ayatollah Khomeini? Can I get a view from Israel, please? Would you like to take that, Benny, first, and then to Adam? Because this threat, when your defense minister, Katz, in a meeting with Israel's military and security service commander said that he should remember what happened to the dictator in the neighboring country to Iran who took the same path against Israel. It's a threat to eliminate Khomeini, isn't it?
We will start with Iran. We know Iran for more than 40 years now. I mean, after the Shah. And they have done all the terrorism, whatever we have in the world. I think they are the most positive people to make terrorism in this area. I can talk about Hezbollah, I can talk about Houthis, I can talk about Hamas, I can talk about so many. From Iran, from Argentina to Middle East, everything what was done by the Iranians, it was done.
Waris and Omer.
That we are talking about, we are talking about nuclear yet. Nuclear thing is, yes, about 25 or 23 years, Netanyahu is shouting to clear this matter with the Iranians. But nobody did anything. And, today we came to this place because of the 60 days that the US given to the Iranians, and the Iranians had not done anything. They were just pulling out more and more. And I think if there will be a ceasefire, the Iranian will come to the same stage. So I think we want not only ceasefire for the nuclears, but we want the ceasefire to stop the terrorism. We want the ceasefire not to give the money to the terrorism that we are talking about, Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, whatever you have. We are talking about the citizens of them. They're Iran. They are not happy. So I don't think that we are going to make now the new rule in Tehran. But the Iranians must know that they must, if they want to have peace in this area, they must stop all this. And
okay,
if they stop all that,
I'd like to get in a view pro-Iran, please. Waris, would you like to start first before I go to Dr. Omer Anas? See, point is, I want to make one point tonight. We are concerned about this going beyond the region. I'm looking at the language of China very closely, where China is indirectly accusing Trump of escalating the crisis, saying we want to protect the sovereignty of countries. So it'll be interesting to see that if there is a huge rain of fire on Tehran, whether China stays out of it. It's just an observation. I'm not sure China will get directly involved, but we can't assume it won't. Waris Pathan, your response as I get Dan Pfefferman and Adam Bellos to speak on the other side. Waris Pathan, please. Please, Waris.
Well, Arnab, we have to understand the Iran and Israel war first. First thing, Iran does not have nuke. Israel does. Iran is signatory to the NPT. Israel isn't. Iran allowed IAFE inspectors in this country. Israel doesn't. But Israel attacked Iran. Israel is the aggressor. Iran is the victim. Now, Iran declared war on the basis of
the most
nuclear program. Then again, they went about regime change. Then they spoke about assassinating the leaders. And now they are bombing the journalists. So, butcher of Gaza, Netanyahu, is a mass murderer. He has committed genocide on Gaza, Palestine. He has killed 55,000 people, including 5-year-old children. They were starved to death by Netanyahu, and now Netanyahu wanted to do the same thing with Iran, but Iran responded. So why do we have to support Israel, Arnab? Why did you not allow the NPT?
I'll come to you. Adam and Dan, I'll let him complete. I'll come to you. I'll come to you after he completes. I will come to you both. I will come to you both moment Mr. Pathan completes. Let Mr. Pathan, let Mr. Waris complete, and I'll come to you both, please. Waris, complete your points, please.
He's a mass murderer. He has committed genocide on Gaza, Palestine. He starved children to death, Arnab. Where are we? Netanyahu wants to have a settlement or something like that.
Okay, Waris now, Waris, let us hear the Israeli side. Who goes first, Adam or Dan? Okay, Adam goes first and then Dan, yeah.
Okay, first of all, let's go back to Professor Kuzik, who was on this program with me at the beginning of October in 2023, when he completely predicted everything incorrectly about what would happen and what the Israeli responses would be, and everything from there. It's a complete showcase of the failure of America's academics, that you have a pro-Iran regime academic talking about Israel using a nuclear weapon, which it has never, ever even hinted at ever using once since it has had nuclear weapons. Two, it is absolutely insane for anyone to say that someone is committing genocide after what
Iran does not have the nuke, but Israel has.
And the proof that
let him complete, Waris.
Through Iran's funding of Hamas and all of its proxies. That's just, I mean, that's absolutely rich. Okay, you can say we're committing genocide in Gaza, except the numbers don't support the definition of genocide whatsoever. Okay, so let's just be honest with each other. Let's keep things in the realm of reality. Iran is the largest sponsor.
Waris, let him complete. Let him complete, Waris. Let him complete.
You starve them to death.
Let him complete. You're repeating your points. We can't speak over each other, right? All right, calm down. Adam, continue. Waris, calm down.
My point. Thank you. Anyway, my point is that the Iranian regime has been the world's largest sponsor of terror for over 40 years. So to deny the killing of South American Jews in Buenos Aires or the attacks on Israelis in Cyprus, let's not mince words here. The Iranian regime is about to fall. There is no reason to go to some eschatological apocalyptic interpretation of what is going on here. The Iranian people are rising up. The Iranian people want to shake off the Iranian regime because they have been occupying the Persian people since the revolution. So let's just be completely realistic. Israel is not going to use a nuclear weapon because we don't want any fallout on the Iranian people, and our war is not with the Iranian people. Point two. To say that we are out there destabilizing the world is a complete fabrication and lie, given all the chatter that we see from Pakistan, China, and Iran, and the fact that you have Iranians dancing in the streets celebrating this attack right now. So let's just be honest intellectuals and let's change the top thing that says pro-Iran over these two gentlemen to pro-Islamic Republic, because they're clearly
No, Peter has a right to respond briefly to that before I bring in Dan out here. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole focus is on whether America gets directly involved. Peter, your quick rebut, please. You've been accused of intellectual dishonesty by Adam quite directly, yes. Who says you've been doing the same thing for a couple of years since he last met you.
Let me say, I am not pro-Iran. I hate the Ayatollahs. I hate the Islamic Republic. I hate the repression inside Iran. I trace this back to 1953 when the U.S. overthrew Mossadegh, who was a very progressive secular leader in Iran. The U.S. has had its hands in this for a long time, and I am not anti-Israel by any means. But what I see Israel doing is so atrocious to me and to most Americans. Most American
He's not pro-Iran,
Jews.
he's anti-Israel. Yeah.
I lost most of my family.
You appear in all anti-Israel categories. Every time you're on a panel, you're always on the anti-Israel side. You accuse Israel of horrendous things prior to us even attacking on October 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. You couldn't even acknowledge the genocidal actions taken by Hamas on October 7th. You couldn't even acknowledge the horrific crimes.
I've always criticized.
Okay, let's just be honest. You are not a fan of Israel. You have never given positive commentary whatsoever.
I don't like Hezbollah.
Be honest.
It.
Okay, your chair is probably funded by
You are lying about what I say.
Volume. Manage the volume, please,
with
producers.
the problems that are happening in American academia.
Ladies and gentlemen, over 100 targets have been destroyed. That's what Israel is saying. We are on the knife's edge, Dan. I hope you realize in Israel, as well as our friend in Ankara tonight, that this is no longer an Israel versus Iran issue. This has become a global issue. The world is taking sides. The only concern I have is whether, Dan, you can trust Trump. I support Israel, but I have problems with Trump. Do you like the unilateralism of Trump? Do you like the sense that Trump is trying to give, Dan? That he's going to decide every step. He's going to decide what happens next. Dan.
I think President Trump here has a very clear moral vision of what's happening here. What's happening right now in the Middle East is very clearly a fight of good versus evil. Our Iranian friend here talked about Iran fighting colonialism. I've been all day on different shows, including here on Republic TV, and I keep hearing Israel and the West and colonialism, the only colonists and the only people spreading and occupying and colonizing and committing genocides in the Middle East are the sides affiliated with Iran. Last I checked, it's the Iran-backed Assad regime, and it was the Iran-backed Hezbollah who killed nearly 1 million Sunnis in Syria, starving to death during the course of their civil war. Any casualties, any blood spilled in Gaza goes straight back to Hamas, which is backed by the Iranian regime. So I think it's quite disingenuous, and I think I'd be happy to meet the wonderful script writers, the fiction writers in Tehran who are writing the history books, because they have everything backwards and upside down. I don't know if you can trust every decision that every American president makes, but what is clear is that President Trump has a very clear moral compass. He understands who are the good guys, who are the bad guys. He understands that Israel is very much a David fighting a Goliath. I remind all the viewers and I remind all our panelists, on October 7th, Israel was attacked unprovoked. Hamas broke a ceasefire backed by Iran in order to stop the march to peace and integration in the region. Hezbollah broke the ceasefire and started firing rockets. The Houthis broke, nobody had even heard of the Houthis prior to October 7th. They began firing rockets unprovoked. These are countries which Israel has no interest, had no territorial claims, had no conflict with. And what do they all have in common? They're all backed by the Islamic regime in Iran, something that Israel would love to have nothing to do with. Israel had wonderful relations with the wonderful people of Iran prior to 1979. And then in the 1979 Islamic Revolution, let me finish, sir. You've talked long enough, and you've shouted everyone down. In 1979, Iran made up a new ideology in order to distract its people and distract the world from the fact that it has no idea how to govern, the fact that it has no idea it should not be in office. It controls its people with an iron fist. The people are going to rise up against this awful dictatorial, despotic regime that hangs women and beats them to death if they show strands of hair, in which gays are hanged from the streets, in which journalists and political dissidents are executed for voicing their opinion. The people of Iran, the people of the Middle East, the United States, and the people of the world are already thanking and will thank Israel for doing the dirty work that the world doesn't have the guts to do, and that's finally taking out this awful regime that has been the engine of terrorism and radicalism in the Middle East for the past
1 minute. Now, Dan, it's going to be Dan versus Waris for the next 2 minutes. 1 minute.
Waris, let me prove that.
You're responding to Dan,
Arnab,
right?
yeah, the declaration of war against Iran. Arnab, the declaration of war against Iran was about nuclear program. Let me now say, the US intelligence assessment now states that Iran is at least 3 years away from developing a nuclear bomb, not just months, as asserted by Tel Aviv. This is the report by the US intelligence. So why did Israel attack Iran? Now they are playing victims.
The
Who is the victim?
IAEA
Iran is the victim.
report
Israel is the
Okay, 1 minute.
collaborates
Dan, let him
with
complete. Dan, let him complete. To be fair, Dan, let Waris complete and then you come in.
Palestine. You have been bombing innocent children in Gaza. You are a murderer. Netanyahu is a mass murderer. He has committed genocide in Gaza. 55,000 Arnab people have till now been killed in Gaza.
No, okay, now you're repeating, but to the main point, Dan, the counter from Waris Pathan. The counter, Waris, I got you there. Waris, come on, now chill out. The counter from Waris Pathan is that he's suggesting here that the Americans are being dishonest and the Israelis being dishonest in saying that Iran is very close to developing nuclear weapon capability. He says there are American reports which say
I'm quoting US intelligence assessments.
Which assessment are you quoting? Quote your source. You can say anything is the US intelligence assessment. Who put that out? Which is the published source?
India Today Global has tweeted this. India Today Global.
So he's quoting an Indian news source to say that. Okay, I'd like Dan to respond. Dan.
No, you were there, no, I was there. That is the US intelligence.
Dan.
American intelligence, Israeli intelligence, all of the European intelligence and the IAEA corroborate that Iran was making a mad dash towards a nuclear weapon. That's the timing of the Israeli strike. It is meant to prevent the most dangerous regime in the world from achieving the most dangerous weapon in the world. That is everything.
Anes, was Iran making a mad rush? Was Iran making a mad rush at getting a nuclear weapon? And if it was, then can you guarantee that weapon would not be used against Israel? Israel has had nuclear weapon capability for decades. It has not activated it. But can Iran, be trusted to do the same? I'd like Amer Anas to come in from Ankara.
First of all, I would like to refuse to be called as pro-Iran because I'm here as an academician, as an analyst. I am not diplomat. I am not.
You're anti-Israel. I can say that. I mean, you're not neutral, right? I mean, so please.
No, I am because I rely on my studies. I am not belonging to any official position, which many of the people who are here.
Do you agree that the Jewish state has a right to exist?
Number one.
Because
secondly,
if you
very interesting statement has come. Very interesting statement has come from German Chancellor. He has said that Israel is doing the dirty work of all of us. What is that dirty work? The dirty work is, as I said yesterday, Israel is the last remnant of colonial mindset, and. Israel is doing the dirty work of colonization.
Okay, Adam, I will let you respond to him strongly once he completes.
To destroy the entire Middle East. What my worry is that India, Russia and China are going to clean the mess which Israel is going to make all over the region. And that is why...
No, 1 minute. Adam wants to... Anes, why are you dragging India and China into this?
The entire Bush era, George W. Bush era has come. The era of fabrication about nuclear...
Okay, Adam is objecting. Adam, what's your objection? Adam, what's your objection? Anes, Adam has some major objection to what you've said there. What is that, Adam? Come on, that you interrupted him thrice.
No, I'm sorry. He did this yesterday, and it is absolutely absurd to associate this country with colonialism. You cannot associate the Jewish return to Judea with colonialism. The idea that the Zionist movement has anything remotely connected to colonialism, given the sheer failure of every colonial movement other than Zionism, given the fact that it's the return of an indigenous people, it just shows straight out what your opinions already are. Just by speaking the words that you're speaking, you're already letting us know what you think and how you think, which means that you do not agree that Israel belongs in the Middle East or has the right to exist as a Jewish state, which means that we're going to hear
Adam, what does... Dr. Anes.
I want to ask, to which civilization Israel belongs? Do they belong any civilization? You know, they are not following, they are not referring to any international law. They don't accept any international law. So for
one
example,
minute.
Under which law?
Okay,
they would
1
like
minute.
to attack Iran.
One minute.
They don't have any law.
Okay,
They have
Adam. Wait. Okay, Adam now. Adam.
They are not following any.
Adam, go on.
They do not belong.
Omer, you're repeating your point. Adam.
No, I'm sorry. You just asked me, what civilization do we belong to? The Jewish civilization, the one that archaeology has shown to have existed for thousands of years. The reason why the Dome of the Rock is sitting on a platform.
Okay, 1 minute, Mike. Now my question is therefore, one second, Adam, my question is, Dr. Anes, it's easy to try and take a high moral ground. Okay, to try and provoke Adam on the program is easier than you think. He's on the program. He's very, very strong on the subject, very angry as well since yesterday. My question is, I want to bring in Dan here. And my question is to Dr. Anas. Dr. Anas, which international rule of law, right? Dan, which international rule of law do the Hamas or the Houthi or the Hezbollah follow? Which law allowed them to kill thousands of Israelis on the 7th of October? It's so easy to be a hypocrite, Dr. Anas. And when you take the cover of, well, allow me now, please. It's going to be an open session right now. I asked for Dan on the left. It's so easy to say that, right? I want you to say that what international rule was being followed by the Hamas on the 7th of October. Which international rule is followed by the Houthis, who are the biggest global pirates today, right? Or when the Hezbollah fires rockets on Israeli soil, which international rule of law do they follow? The shoe pinches, Dr. Anes, on the other foot. And don't tell me Iran has no links to these three groups. So don't use the international rule of law argument with me. Answer me.
Shall I answer?
Yes, please answer.
Please, thank you. First of all,
yes,
Israeli occupation of the land which the United Nations has
which international rule of law does the Hamas follow?
I'm coming to my point.
But you got to answer my question. You'll give a long preface but avoid my question, which is completely unfair, Professor.
International law says any country which is occupying the land of any other country, the resident of this country has the right to, and they have the right even for armed struggle.
That is the argument, you say.
The gentleman from
no, from the river to the sea argument, we want to take away Israel as. So your argument is that in your worldview, Israel has no right to exist. In your worldview, Israel has no right to exist.
Arnab, please let me finish.
No, Dr. Anas, you just tried to say that Israel has no right to exist. How do you expect me to be quiet when you say that?
Even without Hamas, the right of Palestinian people to struggle against Israeli occupation is valid under international law. And I'm saying that the gentlemen here from Israel, I'm not sure whether they are standing on an occupied land or on the Israeli land. I'm not sure. But the Palestinians have the right. So you can have objection with Hamas. I have objection with Hamas. However, the right of Palestinian people to have their own country is recognized by each and every international law, countries, and the civilized nation on
No, you decide one second, just 1 minute, just one point, just stop here. Last night on this program, I asked, what is Iran's stated goal? And I said, let's see, you may consider me pro-Israel, but I'd say, okay, Israel is clear. Their stated goal is not to destroy Iran, but to destroy its nuclear weapons program. What is Iran's stated goal? Right? You must be clear. Is your stated goal the elimination of the state of Israel? Or is your stated goal pursuit of your nuclear weapons program? You got to be clear here. You can't, you prevaricate on this issue and say I've got an academic license to be unclear. What is Iran's end game?
Yes. Iran has multiple times conveyed its position, even via Saudi Arabia, that Iranians are ready to recognize the state of Israel, provided that Israel is also going to allow the creation of Palestinian state, which has not been created even after 70 years of the United Nations Security Council resolution. So it is up to Israel to accept the state of Palestine first,
Okay,
and
we have
I think that
Dan.
Iranians are ready for any
history
kind
here.
of
Doctor, you might have missed the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict 101 in your college studies, because the Palestinians were offered, by my count, at least 4, if not 5, if not 6 chances at having independence in a two-state solution. Every time they've turned them down. Every time they chose war. Hang on, I let you speak. Let me speak, please. I let you speak. In 2005, Israel unilaterally withdrew every last settler, every last soldier from the Gaza Strip. Since 2006, when Hamas brutally took over the Gaza Strip, they have launched 7 different rounds of unprovoked violence against Israel, each ending with a ceasefire. On October the 6th, 2023, a ceasefire was in place, which Hamas broke. I agree with you that countries or peoples who think they're occupied have a right to resist, whatever that means. You can go after militaries, but they went after civilians. They massacred unarmed civilians. They slaughtered elderly people, women, children. They took hostages, civilian hostages, into Gaza. So if you're going to resist, and if you're going to start a war unprovoked, after there was a ceasefire in place, after Israel withdrew in 2005 from every last inch of Gaza, in which a ceasefire was in place the day before, if you're going to start a war, sir, there are consequences. And Hamas and Hezbollah started firing at Israel completely unprovoked. The Houthis started firing at Israel completely unprovoked. All of these groups are backed by Iran. They want to resist. They need to remember that there are consequences. And right now they are paying the consequences for a war that they started unprovoked on October the 7th. If they wanted independence and a two-state solution and to end the occupation, they had multiple chances. 2000, 2001, 2008, 2014, even President Trump put an offer on the table in 2020, which they rejected and which led eventually to the Abraham Accords. So the Palestinians have chosen time and again war instead of peace, instead of having independence. The Palestinians need to choose a path for peace. I can guarantee you the Israelis will respond warmly and wholeheartedly to any offer of peace, but every time Israel shows any kinds of good gestures to the Palestinians, they are responded with terror and with extremism. And so this is where we are right now. And Israel has no choice but to finish off Hamas for there to be any chance of peace to ever exist between Israel and the Palestinians.
Look, the way you are talking, it is called colonial generosity. You are trying to be showing that you are so kind, but the reality is that you are killing the people. You are occupying their land inch by inch every day. Today, Palestine has been occupied too much that the possibility of creating a state of Palestine is almost negligible. So where exactly they are going to create the state of Palestine?
Where is the agency of the Palestinians to accept
peace? Your colonial mindset is, and you are doing the dirty job of European colonial people and of course American soil as well. So you are the in charge
in bringing people back to their homeland. We're not colonialists. We don't represent anyone. A colonialist represents a mother country. We don't represent anyone. We are an indigenous people who came back to their homeland.
From where you came back?
From Israel, from the ancient Jewish kingdoms of Israel. That is where we came back. Do you see another country in the world that speaks Hebrew? How many countries in the region speak Arabic? How many countries in the region today are Muslim? It's because there was Muslim and there was Arab colonialism. There's no Jewish colonialism.
Don't interchange Muslims and their ethnicity. Muslims are living in India, they are Indian. They are living in Central Asia, they are Central Asian.
Well, there are Muslims in Israel too, by the way, Anas. 15% of Israel's population is Muslim. There are Muslims in Israel too. Are you saying you represent all Muslims? Is Iran trying to be the leader of the entire Islamic world out here? Which is why I'm asking, what is Iran's intention? Does it want to be the leader of the anti-Jewish world? Does it want to be the leader of the Islamic world? Does it want to process its nuclear weapons? What does Iran want? What is, be clear?
Humanity, to support humanity.
Or you just want Israel to stop existing, which is not going to happen.
Mahatma Gandhi was struggling in South Africa for black.
Why you can't take any of these people seriously? It is because you can't take any. You cannot take any of these gentlemen seriously that are on the opposite side of the pillar right now. You can't, because you want to know why? They deny our indigeneity. They deny our historical connection to the land, and they blame every problem that they have as a failure of their country and what they support on us. Every single thing that is wrong. Oh, it's the Jews.
Who?
Oh, it's Israel. I have never seen.
Why nobody is
One audio, please.
Of analysts.
What is?
Constantly trying.
He's an aggressor. He's an aggressor. Israel is an aggressor. Arnab Iran is a victim. Why nobody is questioning him on his nuclear program? Why no question to Israel on not signing the NPT? Why no questioning Israel on not allowing the IAEA to enter into its country? Why no question to Israel on allowing the...
Why did you finance the slaughter of October 7th, where I watched women and children killed and old women shot in the head sitting on their couch watching television and found babies in ovens? No. I've got a question. If you are not trying to get a nuclear weapon, why are you enriching uranium to 80 and 90%?
Have them to death.
Nothing that you say holds water. Okay, the regime is going to fall.
I have breaking visuals. I have breaking visuals of the moment that Iran has launched more missiles towards Israel, and I have visuals of that moments ago. Moments ago, I would like to run them full frame. And Donald Trump has also issued a statement. Things are getting extremely close, and Iran should stop trying to play victim out here, because they've just launched a series of missiles towards Israel moments ago. Now, it's not looking like Iran wants to negotiate towards peace at all. In fact, Iran wants to escalate this, and then it wants to play victim. If Israel hits back, which I think it will, the only question is how far this is going to go and whether this is going to happen tonight. I also have a statement that is coming from the United States of America, where our political editor, Aishwarya Kapoor, is in Washington right now. And we have the statement that comes in from Trump. And Trump is saying that we now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. This is the visual. Is this the visual? Not this one. I think we have a fresh visual. Okay, we now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran has good sky trackers and other defensive equipment and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare. Okay, full frame to the visuals. Ladies and gentlemen, these are latest Iranian missiles which have been fired towards Israel a few moments ago. This is in the air, and this is fired towards Israel. This is a really, really tense situation. Iran has just escalated this, ladies and gentlemen, and these are the latest visuals. Now, I would like a response from Benny Benjamin to what he sees here today. Benny, you saw these visuals now, fresh firing of missiles by Iran.
These missiles are for the south. That's why we have not got the alarm on our phones. But before hour, we had missiles in this area too, where I'm staying. It is in the center of Israel. And the missiles will come and all the night. We are not going to sleep today, I know, because that is already happening for four nights. It is very difficult. The war is very difficult. We don't want a war, but we don't have a choice. And this is the choice that we have. That if we will not fight for us, nobody will fight for us. So this is the fact. And when one of my friends, Adam, he said that we were there we gave them all the ways to have peace with us. Yes, Arafat got more than 85% of the land, or the occupied land we wanted to give him, and then negotiate about the 15% more. But we were supposed to give them land in the desert. So they have not agreed. So I don't know what you're talking about. That
okay, we have from DC, from Washington DC. I'm joined by Aishwarya Kapoor, our political editor who's flown there to follow the developments from the American front. I'd like to go full frame to Aishwarya, please. Aishwarya, Donald Trump put out a statement a while back. A while back, yes. Donald Trump put out a statement. And what is the view in the US right now, in Washington right now on this?
Well, the American administration is very clear. We've just heard, and as you just broke that information, Donald Trump has made it very clear that they control the skies over Iran. So the Americans are saying, and then the whole American defense establishment, Arnab, has been on and active. The White House was active the whole late last night while the American president left G7 and landed back in DC. Today, just minutes prior, to Donald Trump reacting on the social media network and saying that they control Iran. What basically we are being told that at this point of time, America is going to directly intervene. That is the sense here from DC. We've spoken to not one, but multiple senior officials here in the White House, senior journalists who've been covering White House. They say that the minute Donald Trump left G7, left Calgary, it was very clear that the Americans are getting into this war. It is going to be very, very interesting how Iran reacts back to this. But at this point of time here in DC, everyone is keeping a very, very close eye on what is going to be now the first reaction from Tehran. Back to you, Arnab.
So they obviously won't play for more time. Aishwarya, I'll just come back to you in a minute. Going back to our panel here tonight, the fact that Trump left the G7 abruptly, Peter, and said, I'm going to do something bigger, right? What does that tell you about the timing of whatever he wants to do?
It seems to me clear that Trump wants to get the U.S. involved in this war. And Trump has been supporting Israel from the very beginning, just like he did his first term, just like Biden did now. Instead of cutting off U.S. arms to Israel for the slaughter going on in Gaza, Trump kept the arms going. And, so the danger now is that the U.S. will get involved. Now, you can't accuse me of being anti-Israel or pro-Iran. I was appalled by the Hamas attack on October 7th, and I've said that over and over again. Israel has the right to exist, and it has the right to exist in peace and safety. But that does not mean that a war against Iran is justified. There was no immediate pretext. We have not seen any intelligence. The last thing I would want to see is Iran get a nuclear weapon for a lot of reasons. One is that would mean that Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Turkey would all go nuclear. The last thing we need in this region is more countries with nuclear weapons. It's dangerous enough that Israel has nuclear weapons. So in international law, Israel should never have.
We should let. I'm sorry. We should have let Hamas attack us without responding. We should let Iran finance all of the rockets that Hezbollah wanted to shoot at us and finance them. Okay, we should allow Iran to finance the Houthis, okay, and the rockets that they're shooting at us. We should also be okay with Iran targeting Jews and Israelis outside of Israel, all over the world. But we shouldn't fight back or start a war. What you like are dead Jews and emasculated Jews. You are not a fan of Israel. You say things and then you go, oh, I believe Israel should have the right to exist, but they should also bend over and take it. Let's just be honest, okay? You say you don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons, but at the same time, you won't acknowledge that they've violated almost every agreement that they've had. We've had nuclear weapons since the mid-'60s, and we've never once even thought about using them and have never needed to use them. Okay, and we never plan on using them, and they were built for one reason, for deterrence, for this very reason. So there is no danger with us having nuclear weapons because we have no designs on expansionism. Okay, so number two, if Iran is not after a nuclear weapon, why was their uranium enriched at between 80 and 95%? Why are there so many nuclear plants? There's a completely different way to build a civilian nuclear program, enriching uranium between 5 and 10%. Okay,
well, I think that Trump has made a big statement. He says that America knows the location of Ayatollah Khamenei. He says, and I quote, "We know where exactly the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill him, at least for now. We are not going to kill the Iran's supreme leader for now. We are not going to kill him now," which other words they're saying, anytime we want, Waris is saying we can kill Ayatollah. We don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. It's a clear threat to kill Ayatollah Khomeini from Donald Trump. He says, we don't want to kill him now, as of now. But it's the last warning shot at him. What is?
Well, Trump is of the habit of making such kind of shit. Earlier during the India-Pakistan conflict also,
it's not Trump, it's the US.
I am involved in the ceasefire. He said, Trump tweeted that yes, I am responsible for the ceasefire, and they gave them the okay, trade is involved, so you do the ceasefire. Again, 10, 12 times he's made such kind of statements. That is why I was responsible for a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. And so now he just left the G7 meeting halfway and he just left his place. And he said America has taken over the skies of Iran. So let us keep a watch on that, what is going on in the world. But why is the Western media, why Trump is not asking question to Israel about the nuclear program? My question is that.
No, but the threat is, now this is wearing thin on us. The threat is the threat. You have the President of the United States who has just issued a threat to kill Ayatollah Khamenei. This is very serious. The United States is moving. It's moving fighter jets. It is moving fighter jets right now. It's moving fighter jets. It's moving warplanes.
Was live on the studio, ran, and again he came there.
What is this? Is not about. This is not about Trump. This is about the involvement. 1 second. This is not about Trump. This is about the involvement of. This is about the involvement of the American forces.
When he said they don't target the civilians, 55,000 civilians have been massacred, and he said we don't target civilians. Last night they targeted Tehran TV studio where Seher Imami was giving a
Saurabh is there
live on the studio, and what everybody who saw the video.
Why don't you mute him? Just mute.
She has to run away.
Adam.
But the Iron Lady, the brave woman, again she came there and again she started with her news reporting. That is how the braveness is.
I go beyond news reporting and news anchoring right now. Do you realize the situation is tonight? We may have major hostilities this evening. I don't think you're understanding. This is not about your ideological positions on the issue. This is turning out to be a global war.
I was, if you allow me for a few seconds.
Yes.
And you know, neither the United States nor Israel has a clear plan what they are going to do in Iran. They didn't have a plan for Afghanistan. They didn't have a plan for Iraq. They left the biggest mess behind them. And
okay, we're not here dropping bricks.
Flourished there. So they don't have any plan for Iran. They will, of course, they have the capability to bomb, to kill people, but they don't have the plan what exactly they want there. They just want one unstable country in bloodshed, in chaos, and in so much trouble. So all the regional countries are going to pay the price. But what exactly Israel is going to get from that, it is unclear. Just like George W. Bush had.
Okay, I just want to tell you, we're going to be rolling on this. We're going to be rolling live a bit. Saurabh is with us live. Any of our guests are happy to stay. There have been sirens in South Israel which have been sounded. IDF put out a statement. This is going to be a long night. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a long night. 80% of our viewers are supporting Israel. Of course, this is the Republic TV audience, 80% supporting Israel, 20% supporting Iran. Saurabh, you'll be live in just a while. I'm stepping out of the studio for a moment and I'm going to be back. I'm going to be back in a couple of minutes.
Okay. Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।